Compared to last year, year-to-date sales in the apartment sector are up by 60%. But what about them prices? Have they increased just as much? Hi, my name's Fyfe, your Calgary Realtor. If you're planning on making a move here, or if you just have some questions about the housing market here in Calgary, go ahead and book a call. It's the first link right below this video. Okay, so here are the numbers for the apartment sector for the month of September. Now, we're gonna look at the year-to-date stats package for all apartments in Calgary. Now, let's start to break this down. And everyone's curious about price, so let's just get right into the good stuff. You can see that this is the fourth month in a row that the benchmark price for condos has been relatively flat, plus or minus $1,000, which really is not that much movement when you're talking about hundreds and thousands of dollars. We are now sitting at $277,900 for the average apartment across all of Calgary. Now, as a whole, apartments are still holding strong even though the market is slowing down. If we look deeper, sales are down, but not quite the lowest that we've seen this year. At 450 sales, it's actually higher than every month in 2021, with April and June being the closest. New listings are down and inventory is also down, which is really good to see. Calgary has been flooded with apartments for the past few years. Now, I would imagine that inventory is down because a lot of the rental market is still very much strong and people are most likely holding off of the sale of their unit, trying to make up some of the losses that we saw over the past 5 to 6 years. Days on market is still steadily increasing, which is a clear sign that things are definitely slowing down. And we do need to remember that this is all of Calgary. We will need to break it down into quadrants and communities to get the full picture of what's actually happening here. Next, I really like this graph because you can clearly see a run up in price and then a small correction and then another increase over the past month. Both apartments and townhouses are handling this correction quite well, in my opinion, so far. The red line is the price, the blue bar is the inventory, and the green bar is the sales. Now, you can see that the blue bar, which is inventory, is decreasing, whereas sales are somewhat staying pretty steady over the last 3 months. Because of that decrease in new listings and inventory, prices in the apartment sector have gone up ever so slightly. Again, we're talking about a couple of thousands of dollars, which really isn't much. If you look back over the past 5 months, you will see that the benchmark price has stayed relatively within that $5,000 price range. Again, this is total Calgary. Let's break it down into each quadrant and see what's happening all over the city. So this chart here showcases each quadrant of Calgary. This will help us to get a better understanding of what's going on a more micro level. Now, there's a lot of good information here, and you could spend a few more minutes browsing through the information a little bit longer than it's going to take me to explain it. So when you first look at this, most people really just want to know what the price point is in their quadrant. So if you're interested in that, you can find that here. You can see that the north, south, and southeast all saw modest increases month over month, whereas the city center, northwest, and west all saw some decreases. When putting month over month together, the apartment sector realistically stayed the same from last month with a 0.07% increase. When you are looking at the year-over-year stat, every quadrant is still pretty high compared to last year's prices. Moving along, the months of supply can actually be a pretty good indicator of how much demand is in one quadrant over the other. Places like north and east are in the most demand, whereas the city center and west are definitely favoring the buyer. For the most part, most quadrants are fairly balanced out, but both north and east saw more sales than there were listings. So that would mean that their sales to new listing ratio was over 100, whereas east was almost double. So moving right along, let's take a look at what price points are the most popular here in Calgary year to date. Now, nothing unsurprising here. You can see that the $200,000 to $300,000 price point is the most active, where the 100s and 300s are fairly similar. But here's a cool one for you. This year, there was a total of 9 sales that were over $2 million compared to last year's 1 sale. Could you imagine spending $2 million on a condo? That plus the 20 other sales that were between $1 million and $2 million, which is pretty wild. I would actually really like to see how many $2 million plus sales were in Toronto and Vancouver this year. But that's all I got for you folks. I plan on doing these videos every month, so make sure to subscribe for this high quality, very quick insight. Book a call with me if you want to dive into these numbers in more detail. There is still so much to unpack here, but I really don't want to overdo it in this one video. So until next time, peace.